King Kong was created in the dreams of Marion C. Cooper. One night, Cooper had a dream that a giant gorilla was terrorizing New York City. He wrote down that dream and turned it into an idea for a movie, and so with the help of his co-director Edward Wallace and a cost of $675,000, King Kong was created. King Kong is a film about a director wanting to make a movie. He hires a cast and crew and they venture off on a boat to a remote island. The director, Carl Dunham, has ulterior motives though. He wants to find out if the legends about a giant ape named Kong is real. As the crew makes landfall on Skull Island, they find a village of natives and a giant wall behind the village that divides the island in half and goes on for miles in both directions. Little do they know, it's there to keep the horrors of the island locked away and to keep them safe. The villagers take interest in the film's leading lady, Ann Darrow. They want to claim her as a gift for Kong, so they kidnap her from the crew's ship in the middle of the night and begin their ritual to offer her to Kong. The crew then ventures over the wall to try to find her. Ann and the crew witness many dangers of the island while over the wall, from killer dinosaurs to giant snakes. The crew rescues Ann and manages to pacify Kong with their stock of chloroform bombs. They capture Kong and take him back to New York City. There, Carl Denham shows Kong off to the world in a theater on Broadway, though chains cannot contain this mighty beast, and Kong breaks free and begins wreaking havoc on New York City. Kong finds Ann after climbing to her hotel room and he takes her. Next begins his climbing up the side of the Empire State Building where he takes his final stand. The military mobilizes planes to try to take him down, and he falls off the side of the building dead. And the movie ends with a quote from Carl Denham, that the airplanes didn't kill Kong, that it was beauty that killed this beast. Kong became a significant figure in the evolution of the monster movie genre, opening the door for other giant monster movies to be created like the famous Godzilla movie. In 2010, the movie was ranked by Rotten Tomatoes as one of the greatest horror films of all time and the 56th greatest film of all time. The movie has since been rebooted 3 times, the first in 1976 starring Jessica Lange in her first film role, the second in 2005 in Peter Jackson's adaptation of the film, and the third in 2017 in Kong, Skull Island, which introduces the great ape into the Monsterverse, a shared cinematic universe that features Godzilla, King Kong, and other characters created by the Toho Company, the creators of Godzilla. As for the film's director, Marion Cooper, he went on to direct a few of the King Kong sequels, as well as the film Mighty Joe Young, another film about a gorilla that terrorizes people. He passed away at the age of 79 in 1973 in San Diego, California. The film's message is one of man versus nature, love versus sacrifice. It revolves around Kong's discovery and subsequent capture by Carl Denham and his crew. It shows the struggle of Carl trying to control something as chaotic and as wild as an animal and failing to do so, leading to the chaos in New York and ultimately to Kong's death. The film also portrays the relationship between Ann and Kong as a tragedy in which Kong dies trying to protect the one he loves, showing a complexity of emotions that even a monster such as Kong would have. It almost humanizes him to the viewer. The entire movie appeals to emotions, making the audience sympathetic towards Kong and his love for Ann. Being a film from the 1930s, some of its scripted scenes make it obvious that the film is from a less progressive time. One example being is the scene where Ann is speaking to Drac Driscoll on the boat and she tells him everyone is treating her like she's in the way, when she claims she's just being a perfect passenger. This is when Jack replies in a whole monologue about how she'll always be a problem because women are always in the way wherever they go. They just don't realize it because they're not intelligent enough to understand it. You know, I always knew times were different back then, but compared to now, with more progressive times, hearing this scene had me clutching my metaphorical pearls. The structure of this visual specimen follows 4D design in that the viewer watches as the film moves on the screen through its set time length. The film uses new technology in its creation such as stop-motion animation, traveling mats, and back projection. For example, the scene of Kong taking Ann used back projection to give the illusion that the mini 18-inch stop-motion gorilla was taking Ann in the scene, tricking the viewer into thinking that the Kong figure was huge compared to little Ann in the shot. A lot of the scenes in the movie also employ the use of miniature sets for the locations used throughout, such as in the Skull Island scene showing the huge wall that divides the island. The film was created in black and white, so it lacked any color elements. However, there were lots of contrasting values throughout the film, as well as juxtaposition between the main characters, such as Anne Darrow being a blonde woman wearing all white throughout the film, being a value contrast to King Kong's dark fur and skin. The contrast is not just in the value spectrum of the movie scenes, but also in the differences in shape and proportion in the characters, where Kong is a huge ape compared to Anne's small stature, and how Anne is seen as this dressed in all white, all good being, while Kong is a dark-furred, sharp-toothed evil monster. The film has a balance in settings where half of the movie takes place on Skull Island and the other half takes place in New York, and while the two locations are drastically different in composition and design, the set changes happen gradually so that there's still a sense of unity in the film. All in all, King Kong is more than just a monster movie. It is a piece of cinematic history with an original, timeless narrative. Born from the dreams of a director and brought to life by an LA film studio, King Kong has built itself a legacy spanning nearly a century and inspiring generations of filmmakers and audiences. King Kong stands tall, not just on the Empire State Building, but in the hearts of cinematic history.